No tutegeeza akakiiko bye twayitamu. Ekirungi swali memba w'akakiiko yali bweru wa ggwanga nga bigenda mu maaso. Badde baagala kakasa bukakasa n'okufuna ebiwandiiko ebitongole okuva mu NUP ku ebyo bye twayitamu n'abantu abaakosebwa tubibawadde balina era beetaaga okulabako. Ensonga bazifunye tusuubira akakiiko kano okutwala obuvunaanyizibwa bwako nga bukulu eri eggwanga lino. Mukimanyi bulungi nti akakiiko k'eddembe ly'obuntu ko kaagula bulangiti nga yawuulu keebase. Akakiiko ka Parliament kano tukasabye kakole gonna okukola omulimu gwa Human Rights Commission n'okukola ogwako ekirungi bonna buteekebwamu mateeka ga ggwanga lino. Bannaffe balinga bakyebase aba Human Rights Commission. Waakiri bano aba komiti ya Parliament babeeko kye bakola ekyenkizo okuyamba eggwanga obutatambulira mu nzikiza. Ensonga ezivuddeyo nabo bennyini bakakasa nti bye twogeddeko si lugambo, nabo baabiraba gye baatambulira ne boogera n'abantu abatuusibwako ebisago. Obaddewo okwekwasakwasa nti n'abantu baali batwemulugunyaako naffe twakozesa amaanyi mangi. Ffe amaanyi ge tulina gaali ga mirundi ebiri oba esatu, ag'amagezi n'ag'okwewaayo. Ago bwe gabanga ddala ge maanyi ge baali beemulugunyaako. Abaali beemulugunya ndowooza si beesimbu. Wabeerawo omuntu yenna agamba nti aba NUP naye n'abasongako olunwe nti gundi yankola kino, tumulinze bwe kinaabaawo tujja mugamba nti tusonyiwe bw'abanga gy'ali. Naye ffe abaatusaako ebikolero ku bantu baffe tubamanyi nti gundi yakola kino, gundi yakola kino. Abaakuba abantu amasasi tubamanyi. Abadde bakwata abantu mu ngeri y'ekyono naye tubamanyi. So n'olwekyo ffe nga NUP tetulina kikolero kye twakola muntu yenna. Twemulugunya, tulinze, twagala bwenkanya eri abantu baffe abali mu makomera, abatwala mu kkooti z'amagye nga si bannamagye, abaasibwako emisango nga baagiza bali mu kkomera. Tulinze obwenkanya, tusabye akakiiko kayingire mu nsonga zino, kakyalire amakomera, kagende mu ddukulu bwa poliisi kalabe abantu abamazeeyo emyezi n'emyezi nga bavundira eyo. Bukyandeeta olukalala lw'abantu 423 mu Parliament, minisita asaba sabbiiti 2 omwezi guweze, ndowooza abalamu base 10 minisita ono. Naye tumanyi nti akikola mu bugenderevu ekyobutagala kuvaayo kukkiriza nti abantu bano baakwatibwa. Kyova olaba be batta babasuula mu bitoogo, babasuula mu nkande, babasuula mu nsuku. Njala bategeeza nti tekijjaawo nti minisita era gw'ovunaanyizibwa ku kutyoboola eddembe ly'obuntu. Naye munaabasuula mu miti waggulu oba mu nkande gw'ovunaanyizibwa. Abantu bano tubamanyi, abavuddeyo abamu tutaze okufuna rekodi zaabwe, abatuusibwako ebisago batya n'okwogera bangi, naye nga ffe omulimu gwaffe kutwala rekodi zino zibeerewo ensi eritulamula.
Mu Eastern baadukira Kenya olw'okuba abawagizi abasinga obungi ng'e n'amadistrict gali agaliraanye Kenya bwe baalaba ku madroni ago amamotoka ago ne bakwatako omuntu omu. Actually kati baawera 2 babakwate. Tetumanyi abaakwatibwa baabatwalawa, naye abasinga baadukira Kenya bali mu exile. So embeera eno ebaddewo mbi nnyo. Kati tubadde mu kakiiko ak'eddembe ly'obuntu tukawadde statement era ne listi y'abantu abo abaabuzibwawo n'abo abaaduka abali mu ensi ez'ebweru ng'e Kenya. Naye ekiri eky'amaanyi nti amakomera gonna mu Uganda akatembe eddembe komiti eno ey'eddembe ly'obuntu yandikyalidde amakomera ako n'eraba bantu ki abaasibibwa nga ku buwagizi bwa National Unity Platform NUP n'embeera gye balimu ng'eyo ekitalya bagimanye era bayambe abantu abo kubeera nti babata.
We invited you to have an interaction with you on the investigation that we are carrying out into the human rights violations that could have happened during the 2021 general elections. And as you know, the election process, it's not only limited to the day of election, but throughout as the process begins from nomination, maybe party primaries to nomination, up to the end. So as a candidate, I would love to hear from the President about what he went through as a candidate, but also as a president of the party, about his maybe flag bearers or supporters. You are aware this inquiry came as a result of the direction of the Speaker, arising from the concerns of various members, including Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the President of NUP, and the Uganda Young Democrats. So we are taking stock of the violations that happened during that period on a directive of the Speaker. And many people think maybe this is a kind of just mourning and nothing will be done. But I wish to say that whatever comes out of Parliament, normally we get recommendations to Cabinet, and government takes on such recommendations. It can improve the process because Uganda is not stopping today with the elections that we've had, but we have to continue as Ugandans. So please feel free to talk to us and we interact. Thank you for coming, for honoring our invitation. We can't take it for granted because people have issues. They can fail to turn up.
Much humbled, Madam Chair and colleagues, members of Parliament. Madam Chair, once again, we would like to thank you for accepting our request. On our membership, we are not necessarily a person holder. Therefore, we appreciate the fact that the committee is flexible to receive the party, but not the individual. I would have loved to be here to personally enumerate his experience during the elections, which to many was like a film out of Hollywood. They are Yoga Wood of late or something, more or less like a film, but beneath what people seem to enjoy as acts of brevity lay very, very serious violations, killings, maiming, denials. But in Parliament, the Parliament is the people's platform, and when invited to express ourselves, it's not just only a hearing process, Madam Chair, but an opportunity to rethink our politics as a country and as a people, and through members of Parliament who are the people's representatives, we are able to appreciate our situation and probably engender a new approach in our polity. Madam Chair, I will invite the Party Secretary General. We have a written document, a partial account of our experience. I can't say full account because, just like you observed, an election per se is not an event. Even when polling day was essentially 14th for the President and members of Parliament, violations were occasioned on polling day, but they continue to be occasioned and visited on our people even as we speak. Abductions still go on and all manner of violations. So we are making an account of some of what we were able to capture in the immediacy. On another event and occasion, probably, we are going to make a record that, given a chance, we would probably bring to Parliament for the record of the country and the posterity, so that future generations can avoid the kind of avoidable mistakes committed in the name of politics and power, Madam Chair. So can I humbly invite Mr. Lewis, David Lewis, to proceed. He'll be assisted by our legal counsel to make our case before this honorable committee, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Although some of these people were eventually released, a total of over 30 are still detained without trial at Chitalia on allegations that they found in possession of live ammunition, an offense which the state claims they committed on 3rd of January, 5 days after they had been arrested. Madam Chairperson, our people who are detained at Chitalia, the court records show that they committed an offense in January when they were actually already under military detention. On the morning of 6th January, as he traveled with a new campaign team from his home in Margaret to Namisindwa district, police and the military also cut off Honorable Kyagulanyi at a roadblock which they had mounted at Sezibwa. The officers ordered his team to turn around and head back to Kampala. As they were turning, security officers seized the vehicle in which the journalists had been covering him and confiscated it, or they towed it to Kayunga police station and confiscated other items which were in the car. And Honorable Kyagulanyi was forced to literally travel alone to the campaign meeting. There are several of our cars, of our vehicles which we are using, which were handled in this similar manner, including the ones which were in Kalangala, and the police had to break into them, took away all several things that were there, including phones and other gadgets. And of course, we believe that is a violation of human rights broadly. As if that was not enough, on 7th January, as Honorable Kyagulanyi traveled with another campaign team of 17 people, they were also arrested without reason at Kakoli village in Budaka district and detained. And we have put the names of those people. The other aspect is brutal crackdown on journalists covering Honorable Kyagulanyi's campaign. Several journalists, including BBS TV's Sesanga Bate, Bukede TV's David Tamale, Ghetto TV's Ashraf Kasire, Pal FM's at Singular Jonan, and others who covered our campaign were brutalized by security officers without cause. During the 18th November arrest, for example, Ghetto journalist Ashraf was left unconscious after being pepper sprayed by police officers who prevented him from recording the arrest of Honorable Kyagulanyi. On 27th of December, the same journalist was shot in the head by Greater Masaka Regional Police Commander ASP Enoch Abaine as Honorable Kyagulanyi traveled to a campaign meeting. During the same incident, the ASP Abaine also shot NTV journalist Ali Mifule and stated that the journalist will be considered as collateral damage. Ashraf Kasire has been bedridden since then, and if you read further, we talk about how many other journalists were attacked during this campaign. The other one is conscription of civic space, constriction of civic space. The 2021 general election also saw a reduction in civic space with the increasing direct interference in the work of civil society organizations. For instance, bank accounts of Uganda National NGOs, Forum and Uganda Women's Network were frozen on the orders of Financial Intelligence Authority. The arbitrary order clearly indicates how state institutions were used during the 2021 election process, and this undermined democracy, the rule of law, and certainly human rights. The other element is arbitrary arrest and detention of human rights defenders, and we give examples of our own human rights officer who was arrested together with lawyer Nicholas Opio and others. Denial of access to radio stations and restriction on freedom of expression and information. On several occasions during the election process, Honorable Kyagulanyi was denied access to various radio stations, TV stations, and other media houses across the country, including in Lira, Mbare, and Moroto, among others. In Hoima, he was pulled out of a radio station, and we give further details to that. We further talk about polling day human rights violations. which included destruction and imprisonment of our agents and supervisors across the country. Madam Chairperson, very, very many of our polling agents were arrested illegally across the country in hundreds. Even after the election, our polling agents and supervisors were arrested and the DRR forms taken out from them by security agencies. The other element related to freedom of expression and media access is a government shutdown of social media platforms. On election day, eve of 13th January, Uganda Communications Commission directed all internet providers to immediately suspend access and use of social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. And up to now, Facebook is still blocked. As you know, Madam Chair, in this country, you cannot access it without VPN. The other element is a raid and siege of NUP headquarters by security forces. Immediately after the elections, security raided and besieged our offices found on Old Chila Road in Kamocha. And for over 28 days, we could not access our party offices. Military occupation of Honorable Chagulanyi's home also was a post-election event. On 14th of January, security forces invaded and cut off Honorable Chagulanyi's home, effectively putting him under house arrest. And Honorable Chagulanyi's private guards and domestic staff were severely beaten and forced to leave the home. For 11 days, he was detained at his home with his wife and an 18-month-old infant who is a niece, surrounded by hundreds of police and military officers carrying heavy weapons. On 18th of January, when Honorable Francis Zake attempted to visit him at his home, he was viciously assaulted by the security forces to the point of being rushed to the hospital, and he is currently receiving specialized treatment in the United States. In Kalangala. The charge sheet, a copy of which I have here on phone and we're going to provide you a copy with, says that they committed the offense on 3rd of January.
And is not far from the chairs. In your introduction, you said, you talked about that the party attracted more human violations. Did you take an action to think about why these people are targeting NUP supporters? Because even right now as we speak, the abductions that are taking place, they are targeting some individuals that are not NUP supporters. Do we think, or do you think that there is a reason why they are only targeting mainly NUP supporters, as you mentioned in your introduction? Thank you.
Honorable Sebagala.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And we are also grateful to the team for the presentation. And Madam Chair, as they have said, the details are in that booklet. But before that, Madam Chair, I have 3 or 4 concerns where I would require an explanation from the team. One, have we ever reported these human rights violations to Uganda Human Rights Commission? That you have ever reported to Human Rights Commission about all these human rights violations? And if yes, as a committee, we'd like to have a copy of the letters that you wrote or your engagement with Human Rights Commission, because it is a supreme body that oversees human rights in the country. Number 2, we have talked about people being charged because of putting on berets and others in T-shirts that belong to NUP. I don't know whether when you come across such incidences, how does our legal team usually respond to these kind of scenarios? That someone has been found with a beret and has been taken to Machindye or to any other barracks simply because beret were banned. How has the legal team, our legal team, how has it addressed these challenges? 3, most of NUP members that were abducted or kidnapped are in Kitalia. I don't know whether you have ever been to Kitalia specifically to see all those who are in Kitalia as a prison. And if not, what was the reason for the Kitalia management to deny you access to all these people? How I wish that we have a list of those whom we believe are in Kitalia or in other prisons, because you have talked much about Kitalia. I don't know whether in Luzira and other prisons we don't have people who have gone missing. My second last concern, Madam Chair, according to, because when we raised this issue on the floor of Parliament, in fact, I was the one who raised it first. And when the minister presented a list about missing persons, then we got another list from NUP, which was more than 200 people who were missing. I would like to know from that time up to now, have you ever seen those who were missing now being brought or being dumped somewhere? And between the other list that you brought up to now, have we received new names of those who have been abducted between, like within a month? Because, Madam Chair, when we were in Masaka, we got a brief account of all those, and some of them who were released had to come and witness and give us the witness. How I wish that if we also get these people who were dumped somewhere, who were released without any charge against them, so that they can also be our witnesses here as it was in Masaka. And finally, Madam Chair, I don't know whether up to now, as leadership of NUP, given the fact that we are still experiencing these abductions and kidnaps, and indeed, even when they go to police to report about these abductions, nothing is being done. I don't know whether we have ever wrote to human rights bodies, especially international human rights bodies, about all these human rights violations, because that one also can also help our committee to come out with a good report in as far as our findings are concerned. Madam Chair, I raise my case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I appreciate it. He gets it. So I hope no sanction will be occasioned for the coaching of his language, because he's been at it and he knows what we have gone through. No, tutegeeza akakiiko bye twayitamu. Ekirungi swali memba w'akakiiko yali bweru wa ggwanga nga bigenda mu maaso, badde baagala kukakasa bukakasa n'okufuna ebiwandiiko ebitongole okuva mu NUP ku ebyo bye twayitamu n'abantu abaakosebwa tubibawadde, balina era beetaaga okulabako. Ensonga bazifunye, tusuubira akakiiko kano okutwala obuvunaanyizibwa bwako nga bukulu eri eggwanga lino. Mukimanyi bulungi nti akakiiko k'eddembe ly'obuntu ko kaagula bulangiti nga yaawuulu keebase. Akakiiko ka Parliament kano tukasabye kakole gonna okukola omulimu gwa Human Rights Commission n'okukola ogwako, ekirungi bonna buteekebwamu mateeka ga ggwanga lino. Bannaffe balinga bakyebase aba Human Rights Commission, waakiri bano aba komiti ya Parliament babeeko kye bakola ekyenkizo okuyamba eggwanga obutatambulira mu nzikiza. Ensonga ezivuddeyo nabo bennyini bakakasa nti betwogeddeko si lugambo, nabo baabiraba gye baatambulira ne boogera n'abantu abatuusibwako ebisago. Wabaddewo okwekwasa nti n'abantu baali batwemulugunyaako naffe twakozesa amaanyi mangi. Ffe amaanyi ge tulina gaali ga mirundi 2 oba 3, ag'amagezi n'ag'okwewaayo. Ago bwe gabanga ddala ge maanyi ge baali beemulugunyaako, abaali beemulugunya ndowooza si beesimbu. Wabeerawo omuntu yenna agamba nti aba NUP naye n'abasongako olunwe nti gundi yankola kino, tumulinze bwe kinaabaawo tujja mugamba nti tusonyiwe bw'abanga gy'ali. Naye ffe abatuusaako ebikolero ku bantu baffe tubamanyi nti gundi yakola kino, gundi yakola kino. Abaakuba abantu amasasi tubamanyi, abadde bakwata abantu mu ngeri y'ekyono naye tubamanyi. So n'olwekyo ffe nga NUP tetulina kikolero kye twakola muntu yenna, twemulugunya, tulinze, twagala bwenkanya eri abantu baffe abali mu makomera, abatwala mu kkooti z'amagye nga si bannamagye, abaasibwako emisango nga baagiza bali mu kkomera. Tulinze obwenkanya, tusabye akakiiko kayingire mu nsonga zino, kakyalire amakomera, kagende mu buduukulu bwa poliisi, kalaba abantu abamazeeyo emyezi n'emyezi nga bavundira eyo. Bukyandeeta olukalala lw'abantu 423 mu Parliament, minisita yasaba sabbiiti 2 omwezi guweze, ndowooza abalamu base 10 minisita ono. Naye tumanyi nti akikola mu bugenderevu, ekyobutagala kuvaayo kukkiriza nti abantu bano baakwatibwa. Kyova olaba be batta babasuula mu bitoogo, babasuula mu nkande, babasuula mu nsuku. Njala bategeeza nti tekijjaawo nti minisita era gwovunaanyizibwa ku kutyobola eddembe ly'obuntu. Naye munabasuula mu miti waggulu oba mu nkande, gwovunaanyizibwa. Abantu bano tubamanyi, abavuddeyo abamu tutaze okufuna rekodizi zaabwe, abatuusibwako ebisago batya n'okwogera bangi, naye nga ffe omulimu gwaffe kutwala rekodi zino zibeerewo ensi eri tulamula.